Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents The Next Accident by Lisa Gardner. Read for you by Kate Burton. His mouth grazed the side of her neck. She liked the feel of his kiss, whisper-light, teasing. Her head fell back. She heard herself giggle. He drew her earlobe between his lips, and the giggle turned to moan. God, she loved it when he touched her. His fingers lifted her heavy hair. They danced across the nape of her neck, then slid down her bare shoulders. Beautiful Mandy, he whispered. Sexy, sexy Mandy. She giggled again. She laughed, then she tasted salt on her lips and knew that she cried. He turned her belly down on the bed. She didn't protest. His hands traced the line of her spine before settling in at her waist. I like this curve right here, he murmured, dipping one finger into the concave curve at the small of her back. Perfect for sipping champagne. Can I have it, Mandy? Will you give that to me? Maybe she said yes. Maybe she just moaned. She didn't know anymore. One bottle of champagne empty on the bed, another half gone. Her mouth tingled with a forbidden flavor, and she kept telling herself it would be okay. It was just champagne and they were celebrating, weren't they? He had a new job, the big job, and oops, it was far away. But there would be weekend visits, maybe some letters, long-distance phone calls. They were celebrating. They were mourning. It was a farewell fuck, and either way champagne sex shouldn't count with the nice folks at AA. He tilted the open bottle of bubbly over her shoulders. Cool, sparkling fluid cascaded down her neck, pooling on the white satin sheet. She lapped it up helplessly. That's my girl, he whispered. My sweet, sexy girl. Open for me, baby. Let me in. Her legs parted. She arched her back, the whole of her focusing down, 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 to the spot between her legs where the ache had built, and now only he could ease the pain. Fill me up. Make me whole. Salt on her cheeks, champagne on her tongue. Why couldn't she stop crying? She tilted her head down to the sheets and sipped champagne as the room spun sickeningly. Suddenly the bed was gone. They were outside. In the driveway, clothes on, cheeks dry, champagne gone, but not the thirst. 6 months she'd been dry. Now she craved another drink horribly. You okay, baby? I'm okay, she mumbled. Maybe you shouldn't be driving. Maybe you should stay the night. I'm okay, she murmured again. She couldn't stay, and they both knew it. Beautiful things came, beautiful things went. If she tried to hold on now, it would just make it worse. He was hesitating, though, looking at her with those deep, concerned eyes. They crinkled at the corners. She had loved that when she first met him, the way his eyes creased as if he were studying her intently, really, truly seeing her. Wait, baby, he said suddenly. I have an idea. Driving. Thinking really hard because the narrow road curved like a snake, and it was dark, and it was so strange how early she could have a thought, and how late her body would be in responding. He sat beside her in the passenger seat. He wanted to make sure she got home safe, then he'd take a cab. Maybe she should take a cab. Maybe she was in no shape to drive. As long as he was coming with her, why was she the one at the wheel? She couldn't hold on to that thought long enough to make it work. Slow down, he cautioned. The road is tricky here. She nodded, furrowing her brow and struggling to concentrate. Seatbelt. Needed a seatbelt. She groped for the strap, got the clasp, pulled. Seatbelt spun out toothlessly. That's right. Broken. Must get that fixed. Slow down, he repeated from the passenger seat. There's a sharp turn ahead. She looked at him numbly. I love you, she heard herself say. I know, he replied. He reached for her kindly. His hand settled on the wheel. Sweet, sexy Mandy. You're never gonna get over me. She nodded. The dam broke and tears poured down her cheeks. She sobbed hopelessly as the Ford Explorer swerved across the road, and a gleam built in his eyes. I'm as good as it gets, he continued relentlessly. Without me, Mandy, you'll be lost. I know. Your own father left you. Now I'm doing the same. The weekend visits will stop, then the phone calls, and then it will just be you, Mandy, all alone night after night after night. She sobbed harder, salt on her cheeks, champagne on her lips. Face it, Mandy, he said gently. You're not good enough to keep a man. You're nothing but a drunk. She tried to shake her head. She ended up nodding hopelessly. Mandy, he whispered, speed up. One little push of the accelerator and you'll never be lonely again. You'll never have to miss me. Her foot, the approaching curve in the road. Come on, Mandy, speed up. Her foot pressing down. At the last minute, she saw him, a man on the narrow shoulder of the country road, walking his dog, looking startled to see a vehicle at this time of the morning, then even more surprised to have it bearing down on him. Turn, must turn. Amanda Jane Quincy jerked frantically at the wheel. And it remained pointed straight ahead. Her lover still gripped it, and he held it tight. Time suspended. Mandy looked up without comprehension at the face she had grown to love. She saw the seatbelt strapped tight across his strong, broad chest, and she heard him say, Bye-bye, sweet Mandy. When you get to hell, be sure to give your father my regards. The Explorer hit the man. Thump, bump, a short-circuited cry. The vehicle plowed ahead, and just as she was thinking it would be okay, she was still in one piece. They were still in one piece. The telephone pole reared out of the darkness. Mandy never had time to scream. The Explorer hit the thick wooden pole at 35 miles per hour. The front bumper drove down, the back end came up, and her unsecured body vaulted from the driver's seat into the windshield, where the hard metal frame crushed the top of her skull. The passenger had no such problems. The seatbelt caught his chest, pushing him back into his seat even as the front end of the Explorer crumbled. He gasped, blinked his eyes, and seconds later, the pressure was gone. The SUV settled in. He was fine. He unfastened his seatbelt with his bare hands. He had done his homework and he wasn't worried about Prince. He inspected beautiful, sexy Mandy. She still had a faint pulse, but she was now missing most of the top of her head. Even if her body was putting up a last-ditch fight, her brain would never recover. A year and a half of planning later, he was satisfied. Amanda Jane Quincy had died scared, died confused, died heartbroken. He and Pierce Quincy were still not even, the man thought, but it was a start. 14 months later, Monday afternoon. Private investigator Rainie Conner sat hunched over her paper-swamped desk, punched a few more numbers into her old, cagey laptop, then scowled at the results shown on the screen. The quicken-generated budget refused to be intimidated. Damn file, she thought. Damn budget, damn heat. Christ, this weather was killing her. It was 3 p.m. on Monday. Outside the sun was shining, the heat about to crest for another record-breaking July day in downtown Portland, Oregon. Rainie's loft offered central air, but as part of her belt-tightening program, she was cooling her vast one-room condo the old-fashioned way. She'd opened the windows and turned on a small desk fan. Unfortunately, that little matter of heat rising was conspiring against her. The 8th-floor condo wasn't magically getting any cooler, while the smog content had increased tenfold. Bad day for belt-tightening programs, especially in Portland's trendy Pearl District, where iced coffee was served on practically every street corner, and all the little cafes prided themselves on their gourmet ice cream. She tried a fresh round of numbers in her Quicken file. Showing a gross lack of imagination, the file spit back the same red results. Rainie sighed. She had just passed the Oregon Board of Investigators test to receive her license. In the good news department, this meant she could start working for defense lawyers as a defense investigator, a la Paul Drake to their Perry Mason. In the bad news department, the 2-year license cost her $700. A buzzer sounded. Rainie sat up, dragging a hand discouragingly through her hair, while she blinked twice in surprise. She wasn't expecting any clients today. She peered into the family room, where her TV was tuned in to...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?